Hello guys and welcome here to SCN. Today we are recapping the Syracuse and Niagara game. SCN, of course, we hope to be your home for Syracuse basketball, as well as covering what others don't. Of course, I'm a big Syracuse guy and I'm a big college basketball fan, so this is something I think I can thrive on right here. So at least I think I got some good knowledge here that I'm sure will bring, or I have some good analysis, I think. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, so Syracuse, of course, beats Niagara 75 to 45. But before we dive into it, of course, we want to cover as much college basketball in here as we can, hopefully, during the season. Because I'm not coaching this year, so I'll have plenty of time to cover college basketball and the underdog teams. Of course, Syracuse will be a team that it should be flirting with the bubble, maybe not. That might be a bit of a stretch. Guerrier, of course, got 23 points and 13 rebounds. The team shot 45% compared to Niagara's 27%. Very dismal. If you can't shoot 30%, you're not going to win a game. And if you do, it's not going to be a good win. It's going to be an ugly win. Not to mention they went 6 for 36 on three-pointers. Every time I looked, they were jacking up a three, trying to beat. I think they thought because it worked for Syracuse's first opponent of the season that they thought it would work here. And again, I just don't think that was the case. They thought because it worked for Bryant, it would work for them, and it just wasn't the case. Of course, nobody on the Niagara side got more than 8 points in the game. So no one really stood out for Niagara, hence why none of their stats are down here. As far as Syracuse goes, of course, Kaderi Richmond, he got 16 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. Quincy Guerrier, of course, I mentioned already. They did not have Buddy Boeheim for the game either, and I believe they were missing one other starter because of the COVID cases going on in Syracuse right now. So they were down players. Granted, this is Niagara. This is a team that likely might not make the tournament. It's very possible they might not. This is a team that, again, would need a huge win, and they would need a huge resume booster to make it happen. And certainly beating Syracuse would have been a big resume booster. I thought, and going back to the Bryant game for Syracuse, that's a game they shouldn't have won. And you can say they only had 1 day of practice. That doesn't matter in my books. This is, again, I know practice makes perfect. I've played games where we haven't had practice. I've coached games where we haven't had much practice beforehand. So I get the struggle. But at the same time, this is a team that's in a top-tier conference in Syracuse. And, certainly they just didn't look good. That 2-3 zone, that last game didn't look good. They corrected it here. Again, really no one on Niagara stood out in that game, which certainly didn't help the case for them. I know they started out neck and neck, and then after, I believe, the under 15 timeout, their high-low, Niagara had a very sloppy, probably one of the sloppiest high-low offenses there. And if you don't know what a high-low is, it's the three guys on top. They're outside the three-point arc. You got a guy at the free throw line following the ball, and you got a guy on the baseline going opposite the ball. So again, it just didn't work out for them for whatever reason, and maybe it's because they played it too high. And again, Syracuse's 2-3 zone, it's more like a 4-1 zone because the two wings can really cheat up, and that's maybe why they thought they had shots at three-pointers. But really the key way to beat the zone is by speed, quick passes. And that's another thing that I didn't see much of from Niagara. I saw them trying to move the ball on their own. And at the end of the day, it just didn't work out for them, Then after one of the timeouts, Syracuse kept driving. They kept running away with this. They found the inside baskets. They knew they could beat Niagara on tempo. There was a lot of inside shots. Gerard looked a lot better this game than he did last game. Um, so then Niagara's like, okay, we're going to go out with a 4-out, 1-in. And this fourth guy was essentially running a bird-style offense because he was either in the corner or he was up on the free throw line. It was like kind of the bird play, in a sense, is what I like to call it, because you follow whatever side the ball goes on. You're either on the on the far baseline, like corner 3, you're up on the free throw line, or you're in the other corner there. It looked like, from my vantage point, that's what they tried to run, and it just, again, nothing worked for them there. They managed to keep that game within 30, and they were crawling their way back in early in the second half. I thought maybe they had a shot. Even in the late part of the first half, I thought they had a good shot at getting back in this game. They looked like they were crawling back into it. So it was a good game. It was a very close early on, but then it just kind of, the floodgates opened for Syracuse and they ran away with it. And they were down 2 starters. I can only imagine just how interesting this game would have been had Buddy Boeheim been in the game, had the other starter that was out due to the COVID protocols been in the game. So, I can imagine this game would be a lot more lopsided because Buddy Boeheim is a stud from 3-point range. And I'll tell you, I didn't know he was benched for the COVID protocol. Nobody did, because they can't release the names, but he's not on the score sheet, so he definitely didn't play. He was for sure one of those players in that COVID protocol. I thought he was benched initially for a heat check, which is something some fans have been calling for. And I've been sitting here thinking about it. I'm like, will Jim Boeheim heat check his own son and say, I'm not letting you play, I'm not letting you start, I want to see what you can do off the bench? And I just didn't see that happening. Again, Jim Boeheim, he's in a tough situation there. I mean, you can't bench your kid, but at the same time, you got to keep it fair. I mean, it's not an easy feat there. So overall, they looked good. This really doesn't do anything for their resume, so you can say what you want there. Anyway, I'm going to take a look at some of the other games. Of course, number 2, Baylor, looks like they got a heck of a game there. Ohio State, I just saw them. They won big. Iowa's number 3, they just won. Some big names did go down, though. I believe Michigan State was one of the big names that went down. Virginia just dropped to 15th. Again, it could be attributed to lack of practice. Really, the season ended abruptly last year. There really was no obviously it was COVID related, but it was just that season got ended so early last year, and these teams don't, again, with the COVID protocols instituted by the NCAA, there's really no chance to build a chemistry because of the social distancing. So you're going to be seeing probably a lot of these top teams fall off the wagon here. And I'm kind of glad my league canceled, because this would have been a tricky season to navigate, not just from COVID, like sanitation, social distancing, but with that social distancing, you can't really get that chemistry going. So it was going to be a tricky thing to navigate. It certainly is showing in the college ranks because, again, higher liabilities for the colleges, so they have to make more restrictions. And, it just stinks. It really stinks for them. Because it really does hurt the players at the end of the day. Because now this is essentially, I think, again, even though these guys are playing nobodies right now, I mean, some teams it looks like are playing interconference right now, but others are just playing no names, like Duke's playing Bellarmine, I want to say. I don't exactly know who they are, but I might give that game a watch tomorrow if I can. You know, Syracuse is back playing on Saturday. I don't know who they're playing. But yeah, so again, this is the part of the schedule where they play a bunch of no-name teams, and this is definitely a preseason by all means, because again, many of these teams did not have a preseason. They did not have their preseason scrimmages. They did not have anything really. So, you know, you're going to probably be seeing a lot of these top teams, you know, struggle out of the gates. It's going to be kind of sloppy. It's going to be kind of even. Once these teams start getting games and practices in, then maybe we can start seeing who will be in the field of 64, assuming that we have a tournament, or the field of 68. It's going to be interesting to see who makes that, because at the end of the day, I mean, you know, I guess the big question is, should these wins, you know, had Bryant upset Syracuse? And again, it doesn't look that great on a resume, but if you beat an ACC team, if you can beat an ACC team, you can beat a Big Ten team, you could beat an SEC team. I think if you can beat any team from the Power Five, you deserve your shot at, or you deserve a good boost in your resume, regardless of how good or bad that team is. You know, I think you should have a shot at a boosted resume. I think it should show, because, again, you know, some of these teams don't normally play those guys. But, you know, should it count? I don't know, because, again, the lack of practice that many of these players are experiencing because of the COVID protocols. But, yeah, so back to the Syracuse game, of course. End of the day, those two wins definitely didn't boost their resume. And, obviously, if Duke blows out this team tomorrow, it's not going to boost theirs. We'll have more, obviously. I will try to cover as much college basketball as I can here on SCN. I wanted to cover the Syracuse game today, and I'll probably be covering quite a few games for Syracuse. But hopefully, maybe I'll do like a weekly recap, or daily, you know, it won't be daily, but maybe I'll just do a recap once in a while when there's a good game on, if I can catch it. But for the most part, though, it might be a lot of Syracuse, because that's just who's around here at the moment. So we want to thank you for watching. Be sure to like or dislike, hit that subscribe button, and be sure to take some get the notifications too, so you know when our videos are out. This is SCN. We cover what others don't. Please also subscribe to our partners at Heartland Spirit. They have their podcast, the Canteen Podcast. It's every Friday evening at 6:15 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. on YouTube. 6:15 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, 6 p.m. Eastern on Spotify. Obviously, last week was a little delayed because of the Thanksgiving holiday and Black Friday. I believe they will be back to their normal time starting soon, or this week. So please be sure to tune in. Until then, guys, goodbye, everyone.